Okay, we've just had a screening of 10 Swords and the Moon here at Day 3, Romford Film Festival. Joined by some of the filmmakers behind the film. Would you like to just introduce yourself and your role in the film, please?
My name is Fenella Greenfield, and I wrote and directed the film, and also edited and produced it.
Yep.
Okay, my name's Stephen Chadwick, and I wrote the music and helped build part of the set.
My name is Brigitta Roy, and I play Sukminder Kaur.
Thank you all so much for joining us. Fenella, you've been with us before, 2 years ago, I believe.
Yeah, with the sci-fi Lucy 2.0 Lucy.
Yep.
Yeah.
At both the Romford Film Festival and the Horror Festival.
Yeah,
So,
so,
welcome back. Thank you for joining us again. Can you just talk to us about the concept of this film and how it came into being?
well, I had written a horror script after Lucy because that was a sci-fi, and horror films, the monster's either in your head or it's out there and it's real. And in this script, the monster was in the character's head, and then she was having a sort of psychotic episode, and then a friend of mine had a very similar episode, and I just felt like a complete cheat about writing something that I didn't know anything about. And so I tore it up and I thought, what do I know about? And the thing I do know a little bit about is the really crazy things people do when they're grieving. Because what happens is that you lose someone that you love, and then there's a funeral, and then everybody goes home, and then there's you, and there's 6 months or a year, and people have told me some of the sort of really crazy things people do when they're grieving. And I'd read that during Victorian times you wore a black band around your arm for 2 years, and I had always wondered what that was about. Why would people want to know that you were in mourning? But now I realise it's because it's just like, don't worry about anything that this person does, because they're grieving, so they're allowed to do whatever they want.
Yeah, that's interesting. So the things with like the tarot cards, is it tarot just before?
Yeah, tarot cards.
Yeah. Is that an interest of yours? How did that become part of the story?
When I was very young, like when I was 16, someone gave me that pack of tarot cards that's in the front titles, and I was really obsessed with them for a while, but I hadn't used them for a long time. But I wanted to find a way of showing Cal disintegrating without just sort of crying. And I wanted, and also a sort of journey into a spiritual letting go-ness. So the only way he can come to terms with what's happening to him is just to stop, is to just let go. And anyway, I kind of explored different things, and I ended up with the tarot because I did at one point in my life know a lot about the tarot.
So I know you're part of like a screenwriting kind of program. What's your favourite part of the process?
I think writing and editing. I love editing, and I love writing, but I actually think being on set, the really important thing is to have actors who can act, and a DP who's brilliant, and a cast that just makes the film, and you just shout action and cut, and then they all do it, which they did with both my films. All the actors I thought were extraordinary, because it's very low budget filmmaking, so everyone's got to do everything in 1 or 2 takes. We've got a very short shooting schedule, and that can only work if everybody is just incredibly good at their job. And then it's really exciting to edit it, because the film sort of turns into a different thing than it was when it was a script. So that's kind of interesting. And also working with the magnificent composer, which is a big, long job as well.
Yeah, let's bring in Stephen now. How did you first become part of the project, and what stage do you get the script and you start actually working?
Well, I saw the script, but the first part really was when I was helping to build part of the set.
Okay. Yeah.
And I was it gave me lots of ideas actually about and discussing with Fenella. The opening shots were which is based on the Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. I thought that would be a good way in if we could adapt it in some way, and I had Lauren Lebec do the top line on the song with me, and it set the mood really for the whole of the film. That we thought that was very important to do that. and it's got this sort of underlying tension about it, and then that theme runs throughout the whole of the film in one way or another. But the music's sort of got, it's got this unsettling nature about it, which is always there. And but once I got the song, the opening song, I then went the big scene where he's crying and he looks up at the moon. That's the bit I wrote first actually, and then wrote my way back again.
Okay.
And because that was a real big emotional change in the film.
So in terms of matching it with the film, not everyone, I think score writers and things like that is quite unknown. Not many people really talk about the actual how you use the craft of that. If you have a scene that's say 5 minutes long originally, and do you write the theme for that 5 minutes at that point? Because obviously that final scene might only be 4 minutes 40 by the time stuff's been edited, or do you only fit it afterwards once the edit's done?
Yeah, usually once the edit's done, and then write a picture.
Okay.
And it's the trick with things like this, and Fenella's very good at pulling me up when I get too loud, is just to be subtle and not overpower the dialogue.
Yes. That's quite a common thing nowadays, I find, anyway, when I'm watching films. Sometimes the score's just too much, too overbearing. It can ruin the dialogue and ruin the mood as well, I think.
Yeah. And it was just about finding sounds which, using these orchestral libraries, I've used one in particular, and it's recorded at a very, very low level, so it seems very intimate sound as well, which I thought was very important for this. It's quite a sparse score in many places, but when it really needs it, builds up.
But Stephen's also a brilliant pianist, so you were watching it and playing the piano as well.
As you go, right, okay, amazing. What a talent that is, yeah. For Brigitta then, so how did you first come on board, and how did you kind of get into your character?
The usual way, an audition, a self-tape, and got a phone call, and that was how I got into the project. Fenella and Vinny sent me the script, and then I did lots of fittings and working out what this character, who this character was, and what she might look like, what her part in the story was.
How long did you have for that preparation process?
Very little time. I mean, this is the first time I've actually seen the film today, so watching a feature in that, I think you shot it over 14 days or something like that. 13 days. It's quite extraordinary to see how much quality comes about in such a short space of time. And when Stephen says he was building bits of the set, it was just we were literally working on a shoestring to get those effects together. But I spent quite a lot of time in the makeup chair for those shots.
So 14 or 13 days shoot. What's a tip you would give filmmakers to be able to work that quickly, Fenella?
You have to be really well prepared.
Yeah.
You have to know exactly what you're going to film when. I storyboarded the whole thing with a program called Storyboarder, and even though then I would sort of show it to Ariel, who was the DP, and go, this is some shots that I thought of. Then obviously you'll notice that there were a lot of the shots, it was just one shot to do the whole scene, and maybe, a lot of the Sukminder, it was just one shot. And for example, the hangman, which we did, Ariel actually turned the camera around. I think we did that 3 times. So it's not sort of planning to have to do the scene over and over again with different shots to kind of try and get a really nice shot, and then just play it in front of in that frame. I think is one of the things. And then it's 2 takes at the maximum.
Right.
You can't be doing take after take after take.
So did you have much time with your actors, like the leads first? No. To be able to give them 2 takes only? No, okay.
No, well we had one rehearsal with each actor on Zoom, and then that was it. And that's, acting, it's such an extraordinary craft, and skill, and that's where, yeah, I think it's choosing the right cast and the right DP. I mean, it's just choosing the right people, also who want to make a small independent film,
Yes.
which is quite intense for the 14 days. But I was quite, you know, we were very well prepared going in, but things always go. When we were filming Brigitta, we'd chosen a cheap location which wasn't soundproof, and then some, you know, the room next door, everyone was building the whole exhibition.
That was quite a hellish day.
So we
wasn't
were
it?
having to run upstairs and beg them to stop for 20 minutes while we just got the
Right,
take. It was all of that going on because we couldn't afford a studio. So
I mean, thinking about prep though, Fenella, I think the thing is always asking good questions, like sitting down and making the best use of the time that you have to prep as well, because we had short conversations, but we made sure we asked really good questions of each other as well, and the script, and that kind of gets the work done, I think.
and I think the role that Brigitta played was a very difficult role to play because she had to play all these different personalities. And when I was writing the script, I don't think I thought really clearly that the hanged man would be this kind of sporty, chippy type person. I thought the devil would sound devilish, and I think you brought personalities to each card, which a good actor will do, because when I was writing the script, I sort of had a vague idea, but I didn't. She really brought it to life.
Yeah,
I think.
she did.
Yeah.
Has anyone got a burning question in the audience? Put your hand up and we'll get a mic to you.
Right, hang on. So what was the shot that you think was the most trickiest to do?
Well, the hanged man shot, because Brigitta had to say her lines in exactly the right space of time, so that by the time the camera had turned round, it was there, and she finished the sentence. So we did it 3 times. We could have used one of the other takes, but that one was sort of perfect. That the speed of because it was hard to get it smooth. So the speed of the turn, Brigitta saying her lines, it ended at the exact right moment because you couldn't see anything. You were just looking at it.
Yeah, I think I could only see Ariel behind the camera and the speed of he was, you know, giving me a countdown basically, so I just, you have to make it fit. But
Yeah, that was hard. That was hard. I think that's the hardest shot that we did, yeah.
That's one, hang on, bear with me.
Oh, thank you, Spencer. Hello, Stephen. I really liked the music, and you've just mentioned you work to picture. Do you always work in that way? So you work after the film's been done a rough edit? What's the process?
Yeah, usually on things like this, it's nice to have the picture finished so you know exactly what you're working to, and I find it quite inspirational to work in that way. There are, you know, if I'm building a music kit because the picture hasn't been pieced together, sometimes that's quite hard. But I find this an easier way to work to picture, and then it's about getting inside the characters' heads and really feeling it and sort of becoming the parts. I tend to do that.
I thought that was excellently expressed. And how long did that take you to compose the film?
Well, as the film evolved, it was probably about, you know, not every day, but probably 6 months of work every so often, yeah.
Right, okay, thank you.
Because when I'm editing the film, I use a temp track to get a sort of vibe, and then I give picture lock to a locked picture. I mean, we did make a few tweaks,
Yeah.
but I tried to make sure that once and then you had the temp track, and then you got rid of it, because that can be a problem, can't it? That
Yeah.
the editor gets all likes the temp tracks. They've heard it so many times they get used to it.
Okay.
So we had to throw all the temp tracks away.
No, it's a lovely score. Yeah. Well done, Steve. one last question out in the audience somewhere?
Wonderful, riveting. Really enjoyed it. And there's a saying about films. You write one film, you shoot a second, you cut third. Because stuff comes up you didn't expect. Now, I'm just wondering to what degree that was part of your process. Did anything you expect, anything you didn't expect? Did you then tweak things for that?
It's very weird if you write and edit a film, because if I read the script now, I can't put my head back into a moment when I had no idea what it was going to look like. I mean, you've got mood boards and things, but then the thing that comes out at the end is like a completely new thing that is nothing like anything. But once you know that thing, it's very strange to go back to the script, actually. But when you're I mean, because I didn't have a lot of tape, I can't imagine what it must be. I mean, I don't edit other people's films, I do other editing. I can't imagine how complicated it must be to have lots and lots and lots of takes with all different types of, so I had so few, but then it's not like you sit there and go, it's very weird with editing, because it's like the film edits itself. You watch the footage and that piece of film, that clip goes, choose me.
Okay.
You're not choosing it. It's
Right.
sort of
That's
telling you that it's got to be this or nothing, you know.
Right, yeah.
And that anybody who's an editor in the audience will understand that process, that there is only one way. I mean, obviously, because I was so involved with it, after I'd finished the cut, I sent it out to some friends who are filmmakers, and I pretty much did everything that they said, because I had my babies, but I was way too close to it. So we got half an hour out of it. Was half an hour longer, and friends of mine just said, get rid of that, and I just got rid of it because I was too close. But when in the scene, it just sort of edits itself. It's very strange. Getting an editor.
Have we got time for one more, Spencer? Is there another hand?
Anybody else? One more here.
I just want to congratulate you all for a really engrossing film. A film that's about a very, very difficult subject such as grief. I really enjoyed it. Fenella, I'm just really interested in how you develop characters. What are the building blocks you use to develop your characters as you're writing them?
I think it depends, because Penna, you know, the cute little girl who's always saying the wrong thing. It was quite interesting when we were, because when I was writing her, I knew that I had to say all this stuff that was quite unpalatable. So I wanted her to say it with kind of enthusiasm and with love and compassion. But when we were getting the self-tapes in, a lot of people thought she was being nasty. And I had it in my head, no, she's not being nasty. She's just saying, oh, you know, and so when Penna auditioned, she just got that tone right. But then with Cal, that was quite hard work, because he had to be closed, and then he had to kind of loosen up a little bit. And that was much more mathematical. It's not mathematical, but it's much more, it's not like a character jumps off the page. It's like, I need this character to do this. How can I make that a real person, but also make that character do what you want them to do? And I found that more difficult than a character like Penna, as I say. I just knew what she'd say in every single situation that she was in. So, yeah.
Okay. We're going to have to wrap there, but thank you so much for joining us and for coming to see the film and submitting it, of course. Can I have a round of applause, please?